Time for some story time. I was inspired by my buddy Izzy and my bro over at Level 8 Center to share some of my old playing stories. Um, so today I'm going to talk about what went on with my knee and how I didn't have an ACL for a bunch of years while I was playing pro sports and college too. Alright, so the story starts off. I'm in Virginia at Fort Union Military Academy. Now, I'm playing all right. I ding up my hammy a little bit, so I'm missing some time. Now it's time for practice. Coach tells me, hey, you might want to, do your thing today because there's a scout here from Arkansas, the Arkansas Razorbacks, and they're interested in you. So I go out, have a great practice. Arkansas is like, hey, we like you. We saw your film. We want to take you on a visit, give you a scholarship. So I'm like, all right, cool, man, cool. So, I'm feeling good, riding high as the rest of the season goes on. Probably not trying as hard as I could have because I feel like I already secured, my shit. And there's an extra game at the end of the season. So the season was supposed to be done, but there's an extra game. Kentucky, their football team, their JV team, challenged us to a game. And a bunch of the guys that already had scholarships didn't want to go, and they were going to get less playing time to where a lot of the other guys didn't have a lot of film to put out there, still needed a scholarship. So as a team, we decided to go. So I'm sitting on the bench most of the time, not doing anything, just suited up in case something happens, and one of our guys gets hurt. So then I got to go in. I go in one play. It was raining, it was grassy, and so I'm playing linebacker at the time. Hole opens up. I see it. I'm like, oh yeah, time to get some, mess up these Jayhawks. And the fullback presents. I stick my foot into the ground, my left one, to plant hard and like get ready to engage and shed him. And I slip, left foot entirely. Fullback goes down right into my knee. I feel a pop. I'm like, damn it. Fuck. So then I'm able to walk off on my own power, but I go to the trainer guy and I'm like, yeah, I think something happened to my left leg, dog, and doesn't feel too hot. So they sit me down for the rest of the game. I go into the training room, and we take the bus ride back from Kentucky to Virginia, and my leg is elevated the whole time. We get off. Sure enough, it rained in Virginia too. So as I'm walking, I'm obviously the last one off the bus, fucking gimping it, and there's a giant pothole with water filled up. And I'm walking, don't see it, step in it, and as I step, I feel like an electric shock go all the way up through my leg. And I remember like almost letting out a crying wince, like, because that shit fucking hurt. Like, it felt like I got zapped. I wonder if like maybe the hole was exposed to ground wire or something. But anyways, that hurt. The dude was closest to me. He's like, you all right? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I limp back, and the next day I wake up, and my leg is like a watermelon. It's huge. And I'm like, yeah, see, that's not right. So I mosey on down, and by mosey I mean like, decrepit my way on down to the training room. Guy takes a look at it, and he thinks it's a strained ACL. I'm like, I don't know, man. I strained my MCL before, and it wasn't like this. It doesn't feel right. And he's like, well, you're going back to Canada next week, so we don't got time to book an MRI. So, basically find one up there. Go back to Canada. Get it checked out a little bit at the school, but because of the way that I trained and the stuff that I did, they didn't feel the laxness in the knee because the muscle was so strong, because I always trained in like diverse ways and lifted heavy and did all these different things, that the muscle made up for the lack of the damage to the joint. So they just eye checked it. They were like, oh no, it doesn't need an MRI, it doesn't need this or that. So I was like, okay. They just gave me a knee brace as a whatever. I wore it a little bit, but didn't like it. It felt restrictive, so I didn't use it. That's 2009. 2010 rolls along, and I start to feel this like debilitating pain in my left hip to the point that I can't squat and I can't lunge. And at the time, you're a college kid, you don't know a bunch of shit about shit, so you're just kind of like, oh, that hurts. Maybe it's related to the knee, maybe it's not. So I just ended up playing with the brace for that season. And to make up for it, I would just do deadlifts, right? Deadlifts to stay strong since I couldn't squat and I couldn't lunge. And the coach was like, hey man, your play is kind of like this and kind of like that. You're playing a little upright, but I couldn't say anything. You know, people are always battling for jobs and they always got someone to come up and, you know, start over you or sit you down, especially when you're weird like me. You know, they're always trying to find a reason to be like, can we get one of the more traditional guys playing so we don't look weird on the field? So that happens. 2011 comes around, and during training camp, I get this like strange illness that, like, honestly, it felt like I was gonna die. I lost 35 pounds. My neck was like a twig. I was throwing up everything that I ate, and this is the middle of training camp in 2011 college football. So I lost a ton of weight, and but I still played because I'm like, well, shit, it's getting close to draft year. I got to put some good shit out on film and show people what I got. So I play through it, and as a result of losing the weight, more slender, I can get more movement out of my hip, and I could squat a little better, you know, lunge a little better. But I took up crawling at that point more often to make up for, again, what I couldn't do as much in the squat and the lunge. And translated to better play, you know, felt better. But the knee still feels a little weird. And it starts to kind of get gimpy, and you could see it on my old film that I run with the hitch. But again, it's football. We tough it out. Fuck it. I'm playing sports. Let's get it. 2012 rolls around. Break the Canadian college sack record. Get a bunch of NFL love. I go down to the NFL Super Regional Combine in Tampa, and the big one at the Dallas Cowboys Stadium, which was pretty cool to do a combine like on the field at the new Dallas Cowboys Stadium. That was fun, and I did well. St. Louis Rams, Jacksonville Jaguars, New York Giants, New York Jets, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Green Bay Packers, and the New Orleans Saints were all interested, and I had interviews with all. Oh, and the Indianapolis Colts. I had interviews with all of them. They're like, man, we're taking you straight up. We're probably gonna draft you. But my agent at the time had connections with the New York Jets. So me personally, I wanted to go to the Giants. Just because, I don't know, I like the uniforms. It was close to where I was living at the time. And I don't know, that was the feeling that I had. But he really pushed for me to go to the Jets. So I go to the Jets, and I go to the physical. Doctor looks at my knee, and he's yanking it all over the place like it's a rubber leg. And he's kind of like, are you sure everything's okay with this knee? And I'm like, yeah, man, like, you know, no issues to me. I'm fine. I go, I play, I make their Division I first round draft pick. Oh, lineman look like a bum in pass rush. Have a good camp, but I'm raw, right? Like, if anyone sees my film on YouTube and stuff like that, it's not, like, I don't look like a football player. I just look like a guy going out there doing stuff and doing it well, right? So in the States especially, they want guys that are like, this is a football guy, but technically sound, this and that. So I didn't go with the Jets. I didn't have any more money to pursue the rest of the camps with the other teams that were interested. And my agent obviously didn't have the money either, because you have to like fly on your own dollar when you're Canadian, or if you're not like a super high draft pick guy. So I was like, well, shit, I got to make a living, and I need money. I had like $11 in my bank account at the time. So I ended up getting drafted by the Calgary Stampeders and took that deal because it had a signing bonus. And again, I needed to eat and survive. Show up, first year, preseason, 2013, covering a punt, slip in the rain, left knee gives out, I'm down. I got to wear a knee brace for that whole season. At one point, I think I had to wear two because my other knee had to do so much work. And again, this is related to the left knee that I don't really know what's going on yet. To compensate, so I had to wear two knee braces for my rookie season. 2014 rolls around, whooping ass, fucking killing it. All right, lots of big hits, lots of great, you know, special teams covers, tackles, all that stuff. The stats look good. On the game that is on my birthday or the day before, covering a punt versus the Toronto Argonauts, feeling it. I'm like, man, this guy's fucking toast. I go down to get in position because it's just me and him. This is going to be a highlight tackle, like, you know, where the whole stadium is just looking at, like, you two, and you're like, oh yeah, got him. And one of their dudes comes, hits me in the back, left knee gives out, I fall on the ground, immediate tears. It's like I just know. I'm like, season's done, something's fucked up, I gotta go get this shit checked out. So I go on the, like, I think I was able to get off the field with some help from my teammates or maybe myself, just kind of like limping off, like in tears, like, oh my God, this sucks. And then me and maybe 3 other dudes all had to go in for MRIs that day and got out of the game, like serious injuries. So it was just a bad juju day, I guess. Going in, getting the MRI, go back to the team doctor, and when it's time for my assessment, he looks at my knee and looks at like the whatever information I got from the MRI. He's like, "Did you know that you have no ACL in your left knee?" And I was like, "Dude, no idea. All I remember was it got hurt in some kind of way at the Fort Union Military Academy, and it never really got checked out. And because I didn't have time to stop, had to keep working out, keep doing whatever to get to the pros, never really looked into things. And it turns out that that's the issue for obviously the left knee, right knee having to compensate and make up for it, left hip, and inevitably left low back, which is another story that I'll talk about later." And so it turned out that I went through college 4 years and the pros 2 years before finding out that I didn't have an ACL in my left knee. So that's the injury story for today, football story, sports story. I'll be doing more of those, talking about just random weird shit that I've been through and people think it's cool, so I'm going to talk about it. Thanks for watching.